time once again to go racing.
The pressure is really on now. And it's pole position.
And it's pedal to the metal, go, go, go!
Hello everybody and welcome to round 10 of PSGL F3 here in Montreal, Canada. This will be a very interesting race, the 10th round of the season, and one which will be highly sought after in terms of positions within the race. I've completely fumbled my words. I would also therefore like to just quickly go to the calendar. Oh my goodness, what is my voice today? I'm gonna bring in the commentator also in the box, Mr. Daniel Gilligan.
Hello, Scruffy, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Shall I maybe help you? Just give you a moment to kind of gather your words and so on. I can distract and entertain the ladies and gentlemen.
Good idea.
Welcome everybody. Then, so this is round number 10, as Scruffy rightly said. Unlike some other divisions, PC Division 3 here, F3 in PSGL did not run at Portimao in Portugal for round 9. So we've skipped straight to round 10 here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. This 14-turn circuit combines a number of chicanes, fast corners, and a slow hairpin or two, including, of course, then at the end of the lap, that famous Wall of Champions. We have 35 laps, 4.3 kilometer circuit, and 1 minute 10 lap record around here as well. Scruffy, in terms of this one, I mean, we've had a big old break waiting rather for Codemasters to patch up the game, make sure that it's in a bit more of a serviceable state versus what we saw when PSGL was last running. Now, as far as that's concerned, you're happy with how things are looking so far, or are we heading into this one a little bit more cautiously optimistic, shall we say?
I think for the time being we should be cautiously optimistic. It's one of those points where it's quite a large patch. It's quite a large change to the game, and we've just got to hope that it actually holds out. From what I've seen, based on a lot of other leagues running and other streams within PSGL, it's looking good. We've just got to hope that it holds. I think the only real concern is if people drop out due to poor internet or if ping is bad. We're basically back to, I believe, oh goodness, I think we had the problem last year where if you had a terrible ping, people would start ricocheting around the track. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But it does look like Cody's has actually made the fixes, and we just got to hope they hold out or completely remove the problem, which would be nice.
Would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would certainly be befitting of a company called Codemasters to make sure that the game is serviceable and all good for this evening. So, of course, we are F3 here, so we are the third division on PC. We've got, of course, F2 coming up later on this evening, and we've also got F1 tomorrow as well. So do keep an eye on all the PSGL channels and so on, and social media channels that being, and we'll be able to keep you informed as to all the activities going on this week. As far as our driver standings here in F3 are concerned, though, we've had a bit of an interesting split of results so far, I think it's fair to say. Currently, Nomsi leading the way in the Red Bull with 2 victories to their name, both coming in the last 2 rounds race, those being Austria and China, and then 2 second-place finishes prior to that, with then a few other finishes in the points. Now, having been outside of the points this season long for them, so a very consistent drive so far, which has gained them 69 points at the top of the table. Nice. 1 second is then in second place with the Williams car, 57 points on the board, with 1 victory to their name and 2 second places. Then we have perhaps a driver who we know is incredibly quick, but has maybe suffered from some mistakes and some, shall we say, bad luck over the course of the season as well. And that is Luke Smith with 2 victories, a second place and a third place to their name. But then their other 4 results have been DNFs or DNS. So as far as that top 3 is concerned, do you think that it's going to be one of them to take home the bacon today, or are we looking for outside of that top 3?
I think based upon what the drivers have been saying, people haven't necessarily done as much practice for this as normal. So I think it could all be in the balance. We could see some people actually sort of knocking them around a little bit, just knocking them off that top spot. Potentially, I don't think Nomsy's going to go anywhere. I think he's fairly safe up there, but I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think we'll see one of them at least. We'll see them perform, that's for certain. I think my money's sort of potentially on Luke Smith to bring it back round again, but we've seen he's not the most, I wouldn't say not the most consistent, because he is consistent. He's probably one of the more consistent drivers. But it's under pressure. That's, I think, where he falls down a little bit.
Under pressure?
I immediately just went into the back of my head when I hate that song so much because of the fact that I love it too much that it's always in the back of my head.
Oh dear, I was going to say, if you just out and out hated it,
no.
We would be having words, young man.
No,
right.
I don't hate it.
Okie dokie then. So, shall we get down to the track then? We've got qualifying currently underway. 16 minutes, 40 seconds to go in the session so far. And currently out on their outlap, first driver on circuit to do so is John TF1 in the Mercedes. That black Mercedes car currently going down the back DRS straight. In the middle of Sector 2, of course, before then going into turns 8 and now through 9 as well. Now, as far as John TF1 is concerned, well, let me just tell you how their season has been panning out as well. Now, in terms of them, let me just have a look through here. As they have had a second place in the first round, a couple of scores then throughout the season, but that first round being the high point of their season so far. So hopefully for their sake, they can start to repeat those feats and get back to podium and possibly even winning ways. We'll have to wait and see then. We've also got Jake Finch, as you can see on screen, going through the hairpin as John T now goes through the Wall of Champions, final couple of corners, 13 and 14, and heads down towards the start finish straight to start their lap. So we'll keep you abreast of that information as they are going through. As well as that, we will have a look at... we have switched over to them. Good stuff. Right, so going through turn 4 then. Turn 3 and 4, I should say. That quick right-left sequence where, of course, Sebastian Vettel lost the race win to Lewis Hamilton on account of a penalty all those years ago. And we have now got him going through and onto the second DRS straight through Sector 2. And now down towards that 8-9 corner. Going to be a lot of commitment through here. A bit wide of the apex in 8, but then through 9 it looked a bit more tidy and under control. Now down towards that hairpin, turn number 10. A turn which I understand you have a unique name for.
Oh, goodness. What was it? Oh, yeah, the Pringle. Because I don't know how to pronounce it in French, but it's spelt very similar to Pringle at the end, and it's just, fun names to give stuff when you can't remember it. Towards the Wall of Champions. Hopefully he doesn't meet the Wall of Champions, which wouldn't be very good.
No, it certainly wouldn't, but it looks like a good one so far then. Up to the line they go, and it's a 1:10.1 for the Mercedes driver with the medium tyres as well.
As Jake Finch is going to come around towards the Champions Wall now, as he's going to head towards the line. Now the question is, will he just about to? We've already got a yellow flag, but he's up into second place on that lap alone. As I believe we've got a few drivers just coming around Pringle now. I can't take that name seriously, especially when trying to say it in a natural sentence. Yeah, as Vexit just completely lets off the throttle there. Don't know what that was. It's a very weird one. Cartalundi coming up to... Whoa! Clips the wall there. Just got a little bit too close to the wall, which isn't ideal.
Will it affect them through the final corner then? They really send it, and unfortunately they seem to have invalidated their lap time as they've gone through that final couple of corners. So that's no lap time for them on this occasion. They will have plenty more opportunity to get another one in. Of course, with those times being in the 1:10s at the moment, it is a very quick track here, and one in which you can definitely get a number of runs in if you do make a mistake. However, Mentalism Johan and then 1 second, both punch in a couple of brilliant times. A 1:08.8 from... both drivers, separated by just 0.02 of a second, as
it's insane.
As Mentalism Johan goes through turns 3 and 4, and is just able to see a Williams just parked up backwards on the exit of turn number 3. So a good effort from them so far. As one driver that we can certainly have a look at now and follow them through their lap is PS4 BTW, who has jumped into the Red Bull, that wonderful white liveried Red Bull that was
car.
run, of course, in Turkey last time out. And, well, it's a beautiful sight to see as it heads now through turns
invalid.
3 and 4. Oh dear, oh dear. Invalidated their lap time. Strict corner cutting limits, of course, for this league and for this division, as their teammate Simon Perigny sets a new fastest lap time in that Red Bull car. Car number 15 is setting a 108.6, so 2/10 improvement over that of 1 second. So it's a good battle that's heating up at the top there. We've also had a couple of times go in the interim. We've had Corny and JST, both the Alpha Towery drivers, on medium tyres, skipping over a curb there. JST.
That was the
on their way
fastest
back
entry into
towards
the
the
pit
pits.
lane. Sorry, that was the fastest entry to the pit lane I think I've ever seen from Sandro. That was
Sandro.
absolutely mad. He's taken his front wing out, but went into the pit lane at about 200 mile an hour.
Well, I mean, it's you know, it's well.
Strategies.
That's yes. I mean, it's a liberal use of the pit entry assist. I think would be the best way of describing that. But with that all done and out the way, then we will crack on with the rest of this session. Then, so as
Morgan
far
Ball
as
up into
currently-
second. Sorry for cutting across there, but Morgan Ball just straight up into second as I jumped on board through the World of Champions, which was a heck of a
The
lap.
fastest final sector from the Ferrari driver as well.
Anyway, what were we going to say? Sorry, I interrupted you.
I was just going to say, in terms of those drivers currently out on a lap, there's one driver in particular who we may want to have a look at and follow them through most of their lap, and that is Grund in the Aston Martin, currently going through towards the end of Sector 1. Across the line they go. They've not set the timing screens alight, so it will not be purple time, I would imagine, and especially given that they are on the medium tyres, not the softs, which will be giving those guys at the top of the table that bit more of an advantage. Though, of course, the driver's currently in 5th, 6th, and 7th, or I should say that, but now JST has set a... no, they haven't set a new time. I apologise. They've switched their tyres. So they've switched their tyres to mediums, to softs rather, in the garage, but they set their time on mediums. I had the wrong graphic up on my screen there. So as far as the drivers from 5th to 8th are concerned, I should say instead, those drivers will be able to have a good advantage heading into the race, of course, being able to make use of that one-stop strategy, starting on the mediums, have that much better wear on the tyres throughout that first stint. So that is something which they will certainly be hoping is a position that they maintain hold of, and of course could be more useful than pole position around this circuit.
As we're currently on board with Leonard, just going round into the near part of the final sector, just about to cross over now. We're going to see a purple. We are going to see a purple second sector, which makes this very interesting. I didn't see his first sector, so for all I know, he could have been the slowest driver on the entire course for the first sector, but he's coming up into the third sector right now, which I believe bombing it down the Casino Straight. Heading right towards the Wall of Champions, hopefully not into the Wall of Champions, but we shall see. It's one of those corners where you can easily mess up the time just by getting a tiny bit too wide on the track limits, as you stated, and that's a third place on the standings for Leonard.
108.790, very good from Leonard there. If I was to be nitpicky, I was just riding on board with them through that third and final sector. The hairpin, they could definitely gain some more time through there. A little bit of an early apex on there, so they weren't able to maximise their speed. And Jake Finch with a brilliant time, 108.629, going top of the timing sheets in their McLaren. Brilliant stuff from them. But back to Leonard just for one brief moment there. We do have them at the top, in 4th place, I should say, not the top, that's Jake Finch. But as far as Leonard is concerned, they are probably going to be able to gain a bit more in the way of time in that third sector, because not only did they have that really early apex on the hairpin, on the Prinkle, as we're calling it in this broadcast, but they... hey,
I regret it now. I regret
exactly.
it. I absolutely regret it.
It's gonna stick. Scruffy and his Pringle.
God.
There we go. We are. They obviously will also have lost a bit of time, because when they got on the power coming out of that hairpin, they had a little bit of a light up of the rear tyres. The back end stepped out on them. It was not the most smooth transition back onto full power. So definitely more time to gain for Leonard in that third and final sector. Keep an eye on them for the rest of the session. They will be one to watch, I'm sure. So then Jake Finch heading back towards the pits then. But now, Simon Perigny on an outlap. They're going through Sector 2 at the moment. and we will have to wait and see as to how things are going to go for them. We've got a number of drivers showing on my screen that they've currently not set any lap at all, and that's everyone from outside the top 10. Cartalundi, Primoz, PS4, BTW, Vexit, Sandro and Moon, all either having invalidated their first runs or having not set a time yet in any shape or form. So expect to see them maybe start to shake out the order as far as those guys maybe towards the bottom end of the top 10 on the medium tyres are concerned, and that might then obviously prompt them to come back out on the softs to then get back into a competitive position. As far as Simon is concerned then, they're just coming now through the final chicane and will start their lap. Let's see how they handle a lap around the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Let's talk you through it then. So, over the line they go then, with the Salut Gilles message. And then into turn one they go, chucking the car in nicely and then keeping it nice and tight to the apex in two. And then running it all the way out, up towards, well, not all the way to the curb on the exit there, leaving a little bit on the table. And then through turns 3 and 4 they go. Good change of direction on that Red Bull as they then head now through the long right-hander to end off that first sector. And it's purple through the first sector. New fastest lap of the session from Vexit, a full 4/10 quicker than what Jake Finch was able to manage. 1 second has also put in a new time that was quicker than Jake Finch's attempt, a 1:08.5. So, keep an eye on those guys. They are definitely ones to watch for the rest of this session, especially with Vexit having invalidated their lap time on their first attempt. With Simon, though, into the Pringle they go. And it's a bit of an early apex for them. They run out wide on the exit, and it seems that they're better on the power than Leonard was earlier on. So it's a bit more of a smooth transition over, not lighting up the rear tyres so much. And then as they head down the back straight now, they've got that DRS open. They are now just barreling towards the wall of Champion Chicane. In they go, chuck the car in, no invalidation, all the way up to the wall as close as you dare, and then beating it to the line. Whereabouts they go? It's
there
pole.
it is.
Provisional pole, 108.1.
That is an absolute banger of a lap. That's a full again. It's just ridiculous how much time they're now just slicing off the rest of the other drivers.
Absolutely,
And I'm not sure who
we've
Christian
got-
Hausman is, but interesting one.
Well, I mean, clearly they were just feeling left out.
I'm also interested on where Luke Smith is. Is that Vexit?
So it might be actually. That's a very good point.
I think it is
I
Vexit.
don't- Yeah. Okay.
Into the pits.
Well, we certainly hope so. Anyway, otherwise we've got a random driver who
Hosting the
who
lobby.
has been able to jump in and start setting the timing sheets alight. But it's an Aston Martin and it's not groomed, so we will assume for now that it's Luke Smith. But we'll keep referring to them as Vexit just in case, because obviously we may be wrong. You never know. So Vexit second place currently, then 1 second in third. JST has been able to jump up the timing sheets to fourth, but they've done that on a second lap on their set of tyres. So with just a little bit of time left to go in the session, 5 minutes or so, they will have time to get back around, get a new set of boots on and try and set another time. Moon has hit the wall. I've just seen that riding on board with JST there, and Moon has hit the wall in the middle of Sector 2, so they will no longer take part in this session, and they failed to set a lap time before that happened. So bad luck for them on this occasion, and we will have to wait and see how everybody else does. We've then got Jake Finch just starting a new lap as they head around the final couple of corners. I think they may have actually just improved on their time, but only by a couple of thousandths of a second. So it's not the biggest improvement, certainly not the sizable improvement that we've seen from the guys ahead of them now. So keep an eye on them. Leonard jumps up to P5 in the Alpine. So we've just ridden on board with them through the final couple of corners there, and then down the start-finish straight. Good effort from them. Number 27, they say on their gamer tag there. So we'll have a look at who else is currently on
Corny.
a time lap. Corny.
Have a
currently
jump
on
onto
time
Corny
lap.
because I've just seen a purple sector as John TF1 nearly completely blocks his quali lap, which wasn't the exact best move from John TF1 there, but he still continues. It will have damaged his lap time. There's no question about it, but it's the question of how much will it have damaged his lap time. As he's going to come up to the line and jump second, and potentially, maybe that could have been first. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
you
he'll
never
be
know.
thinking it.
Exactly. I got the feeling that there was maybe a little bit of a lift just because of the hesitation and the lack of knowledge as to what the car ahead was doing because they were weaving back and forth so much. So it's that one may have been taken away from Corny there, but 3 3/4 minutes to go in the session. That's plenty of time to get into the garage, get some new boots on, and go again. So hopefully there's a little bit more in their reserves to be able to go that bit faster, and you never know, maybe, just maybe, if they or Simon Perigny or Vexit or whoever is able to improve sufficiently enough, you may even see a 107. Wouldn't that be nice.
It would be nice to see a 107, and it's just so close together, and he's running out of fuel now, I think, on Corny's engine, which wouldn't be ideal because it's going to drop his power quite considerably. Ooh. I'm not sure. See, the thing is, I'm
accelerating like you'd hope.
well, I'm not sure if it's the audio bug, the glitch where you get the sort of weird gear changes. Because his speed is still at 195. He's going to go flooring it into the pit lane, and yeah, looks like he was out of fuel after all. Let's just jump to green because he's the only driver on the circuit who is not on an outlap.
And it's on 3-lap old medium tyres. Oh, no, sorry, I apologise. Their best time has been set on 3-lap old medium tyres.
Wow.
So let's see how this lap on the soft tyre goes for them, and we should expect to see them improve by, I'd imagine, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Going a lot slower than Corny was, that's for certain. Good 10 mile an hour down the straight slower.
Absolutely, there we are. So, across the line they go then to start their lap. Let's talk you through this one then. So, through turn 1 they go, nice and tidy through there. It's very similar to the lap that we were on board with earlier on with Simon. And it's a good start to this one for the Aston Martin driver. Through turn 3, oh dear, and they've ruined it immediately. Turn 3, they've just taken too much of that curb. Taken too much of the apex, rather, and that's that. That is the end of that attempt for the Aston Martin driver. But they obviously have those fresh, soft tyres on. They will have the opportunity to just, if they look after the tyres as they're doing at the moment, save fuel, save ERS, they will be able to get themselves back around again and have a second stab at it. So that's the update for them. Vexit is currently on a lap. And I say that they've invalidated their lap as well. So
whoa, hang on, there's a Williams spun.
Oh dear,
who was that? There's someone. Yeah, Sandro sideways of the circuit. Looked like he clipped the front wing somehow. Because there was just debris lying in the track. I was just like, hang on, where's that debris come from? And then an entire Williams turns out to be the debris.
Yes, I'm just riding off board with them just to double check, and it seems as though they've had more than just a little bit of a knock with the wall. They've lost the entire front wing assembly. It's all gone, and they're now having to limp back to the pits. I would doubt very much that they will be able to get back to the pits in time to be able to set another lap time. So Sandro, at best, will finish this session in 11th place. At least it gives them strategic pole. They will be able to select their starting tyre from that position. But we will have to wait and see as to whether or not they're going to be able to take advantage of that in the race, of course. Driver currently on provisional pole, Simon Perigny, is on a new fastest lap attempt. They've not gone fastest in Sector 1, though, as they come through there in that white Red Bull. And as they head through Sector 2 now, they've got that DRS open. They're heading down towards turns 8 and 9. And we'll wait and see how are they going to navigate all of this then. So, through turns 8 and 9, very tidy and using just the right amount of curb there on the exit. And as they head down now towards the Pringle, they will now brake heavily, turn in, and then they take that slightly later apex. That's going to give them a bit of a straighter exit, and they'll be able to go on that power earlier than everybody else has been that we've been riding on board with. Just up ahead of them, Jake Finch is going a bit slowly. Jake Finch is going to need to get a bit of a shift on, I think, because if they don't hurry up and get through that final chicane, they're going to end up holding up the Red Bull. But no danger of that. Jake Finch has gone, and now through the final couple of corners they go, right up to the Wall of Champions. Is this a new improvement from Simon Perigny?
No, it's not.
It isn't.
As we're going to see other drivers start to come round. Corny, unfortunately, has invalidated. Vexit is there as well, but we're going to go on board for the end of the lap for PS4 BTW there in the Red Bull. And the question is, can he improve on his time at all? Because it's not necessarily can you get him further. And he's invalidated by... Whoa! He's spun!
Oh dear, oh dear. That is not how you want to end a qualifying session when all eyes are on you.
Yeah.
But there we are then. Vexit goes P2 with a 108.2. And then Corny fails to improve, of course, because of that invalidation on their lap. As far as other drivers out there at the moment, Mentalism Johan goes into the pits and will not finish their lap. JST is currently heading down the back straight and is very close to the back. No, they're completely lifted off and started to apply the brakes. They're heading into
Whoa!
the pits as well.
Massive accident from Catalundi right into the wall. That was the Wall of Champions on the other side this time. That was huge.
Dear, oh dear, and they're right on the racing line as well. That means that anybody currently on a lap is not going to be able to take the fastest route to the finish line. And as a result, will compromise any laps. But it seems as though everybody else now is either in the pit or has finished the session. So, confirmation then of your qualifying order. Simon Perigny in the Red Bull is fastest with a 108.1. Then Vexit on the front row alongside with a 108.2. Then very close behind them is Corny, who will be ruining the fact that they were blocked ever so slightly by John TF1 on their fastest lap attempt, and then obviously invalidated on their second attempt. And then we will get just confirmation in just a moment as to where everybody else is. Cartalundi in 4th, 1 second in 5th, JST in 6th. And now I'm having to wait for my screen to catch up. There we go. So, 1 second in 6th. Sorry, JST in 6th. Mentalism Johan in 7th. Leonard in 8th. Jake Finch in 9th. Morgan in 10th. PS4 BTW in 11th. Grund in 12th. Landro in 13th. John TF1 in 14th. Primoz in 15th. And then Moon rounds out the session with no time on the board after that accident early on in the session.
Exactly. It's just a shame about Carter right at the last second. If you were talking about someone being in the spotlight when it happened, that was possibly the worst possible time for me to go to Carter if you didn't want to see people to see him just clip off that right-hand curb. And you should start calling it the curb of champions at this point, based on this game. Because that entire wall just seems to exude this force against the drivers the other direction or pulls it towards it. It's just the weirdest wall.
Do you reckon the Wall of Champions has gained sentience and has...
it's got its own gravitational pull.
Telekinetic powers.
Yeah, either that or it's got its own gravitational pull, which I wouldn't be surprised. Or it's a Jedi. Force wall.
How cool would that be? Yes, Force wall.
Oh, gosh, the Wall of Jedi.
The Wall of Jedi. Coming to theatres.
Goodness, yeah,
soon.
just...
Let's not get into a Star Wars debate. Let's not get too off topic. I have many thoughts on that franchise. Speaking of which, the Book of Boba Fett coming out this December. We're not sponsored. I just wanted to make that public service announcement. It's probably going to be very, very good. In terms of this session, then, we're just waiting for everybody to load in. We've got Grund currently waiting to join the session at the moment. They may well have tabbed out, or they may have had an issue with network, something like that. We will wait and see. But
there we go.
As far as there we go, everybody now sorted, and so they'll just be synchronizing into the session before they get going. Fantastic. So loading complete. Then they will go for their formation lap. Do they have a formation lap?
They will do. I think the biggest positive as well is even if Grund hadn't loaded in, the game now has a feature where if someone doesn't load in by a certain time, it will just do a countdown timer. So it means that you don't get stuck in that infinite loading, which someone somehow never thought that would be a problem. If someone's internet went and then everyone was stuck.
I don't know if you're seeing this as well, but on my screen, Moon's car on the back of the grid is just having a little bit of a bounce. Now, you've heard the phrase, if the van is rocking, don't come a-knocking. What about if the F1 car is shaking? That's a very weird animation.
What is that?
That's very bizarre, isn't it? Right, 27 seconds to go until we get going then. We're seeing a little bit in the way of questions in chat about if there are assists or not. I think that there must be at least one assist, given how we saw somebody enter the pit lane earlier on. No assist.
Apart from the pit lanes, this is no assist. So I'm presuming by no assist in the chat, you guys mean no driving assist. In which case, yes, you're absolutely right. Pit lane is controlled by... Basically, you've got the pit limiter, and the entrance slows you down.
Yes. Exactly.
Apart from that.
So, one red light goes out, and they go off on their formation laps. It's a very pedestrian sort of getaway from Simon Perringy there, clearly recognising that, yes, this is a formation lap. They don't need to go absolutely hammer and tong as they get going again. So, they lead away from Vexit, Corny, Cartalundi, 1 second, JST, Mentalism Johan, Leonard, Jake Finch, Morgan Ball, PS4 BTW, Grund, Sandro, John TF1, Primoz, and then Moon as well to round out the order. Just that reminder of how qualifying went, and they're now heading around to get this race underway in just a few moments' time. Everybody seems to have gotten away reasonably well. Moon is at the back of the field, sticking to the back of Primoz's gearbox, and interestingly, both drivers currently running around on my screen at least with no helmets on. So taking weight shedding to an extreme in Formula 1, but there we are. It's balaclavas only. That glitch still remains. Fantastic. So it'll be easy to identify those drivers at least versus their teammates. Well, certainly in Moon's case, because they have no teammate this race. Along we go then down the back straight rather, on board with Simon. And as the Red Bull gets ready to go, then what do we predict here in terms of the start? Do we think everybody's going to get away nicely here, or is there going to be a little bit in the way of argy-bargy here? Do you reckon?
Canada's is one of those tracks where the first corner just seems to feel a little bit like I can't remember. I believe it's Monza. It feels like one of those tracks where the first corner is just that tiny bit narrow, even though it isn't. It's not narrow at all. But it's that track where everyone uses the entire width of the track and no one wants to give up their space on the track because the entrance and exit of that corner is so important. So I think potentially see some... I think rubbing wheels, maybe. I'm not too sure about people crashing, but it has been known to be a bit of spinalla off the line, so let's see.
We will wait and see indeed. So then, the drivers are lining up on the grid. All of the top 10 on soft tyres, everybody else on mediums. We have 4, 5 red lights. Long hold, lights out, and away we go. It's a drive-through penalty for Corny for jumping the start. Everybody else seems to get away well. Brilliant start from Vexit on the outside. Through turn 1 they go. They lose that opportunity to challenge for first place as Simon Perringy just squeezes them out ever so slightly. Everybody else coming through nicely so far. No contact, which you would have maybe expected from a little bit of rust having built up over the last few weeks of no racing, but they've gotten through nicely here. There's a good battle between the McLaren and the Ferrari of Jake Finch and Morgan Ball towards the back of the top 10 as they head now down towards the end of sector 1. Then through they go, and it's now side by side with the Red Bull of PS4 BTW. They moves out ever so slightly, having tried one up the inside of the Ferrari. Brilliant racing there from them, and now everything seems to be just calming down ever so slightly after that first exchange, and now everybody is going to be chasing after one another for another 35 laps.
It was a surprisingly good start, considering.
It certainly was.
Apart from the jump start, as we see an Aston Martin potentially trying to make a move back there on the Alpha. But nothing seems to come of it, although I may have missed it, and he may have actually made the overtake, the Alpha on the Aston. But that's the thing, everyone seems to be getting into the sort of conga line that everyone does after the first lap. So we're going to watch the leader go through past the Wall of Champions. Everyone gets so close to that wall. It's just an incredible shot.
We've got Corny then serving that drive-through penalty. It's going to drop them all the way to the back of the field then, as Simon Perrier, of course, sets the fastest lap, being the driver who started on pole and completed the first lap. So from now then, it will be a bit more of an accurate reflection as to how everybody is doing in this race. So Corny takes that drive-through penalty. They are back out now as Simon sets a purple sector 1 that is yet to be beaten. As I just stay on board with him. Yep, it's a purple all the way through that train of cars coming through, so nobody else has beaten that. So Simon controlling the pace at the moment, though they're not galloping away from Vexit here. Only 6.5 tenths or so back from them, 7.5 tenths now. Having a very good run through turns 8 and 9 there for the Red Bull driver as they now head down into the Pringle. And through we go then, and up towards the back straight they go. And it seems that Vexit is actually under more pressure from Carter Lundy behind than he is exerting pressure on Simon here. So, black Mercedes versus green Mercedes. Who do we think is going to come out on top here?
I think between Carter and Vexit, I think Carter just has a habit of being able to put the pressure on absolutely brilliantly. And as I mentioned at the start, Luke Smith or Vexit, if that is your real name, basically, yeah. I think that should end up most likely with Carter going round, but it does look like he just managed to pull away quite a little bit of a gap through there, and he is a little bit further ahead than he was before, from what I can see.
Absolutely, yeah. The gap was about 5 tenths of a second. It's now up to 8.5 tenths of a second. Brilliant racing so far from these guys up at the front. It's very tight racing in the midfield as well. We've currently got gaps of about 3 tenths of a second, 4 tenths of a second between all sorts of drivers. In particular, Jake Finch in the McLaren is very close to the back of Leonard's Alpine at the moment as they head down that second DRS straight. DRS activated on this lap, of course, the third lap of the Grand Prix. And as they head through turns 8 and 9 now down towards the Pringle, is there perhaps going to be a late break lunge here from the McLaren? We will wait and see. I don't think it's going to happen on this occasion. No, it does not. But it puts them in a good position here if they can get a better exit than the Alpine. And of course, we did see during qualifying that Leonard did make a mistake on one of their faster laps coming out of there. So it may offer Jake Finch that opportunity. But as I say so, it looks like that gap is actually extending between the pair of them. So DRS train is in full effect here between all these cars. And it has, in fact, allowed Vexit to start closing back down on Simon Perrier up at the front.
And that will be very interesting, because the thing with the DRS train is you really don't want to get caught in it, because otherwise you basically start to lose that effect of the DRS, and it sort of negates it a little bit. It doesn't completely get rid of it. You're always going to get an advantage, but it doesn't help when you're stuck in the midfield. As by the looks, just as a point, Corny looks like he's coming right back up to the back end of the field, as we see Sandra, I believe, has just made a move. Or was that his...
From the Williams driver, I think they may well have been able to make a move there. I wasn't entirely certain when John T was prior to that, but certainly very close to one another on circuit, and then a big gap from Sandro to Grund, and then a big gap from Grund to Moon as well. So Corny should be able to dispatch these guys, given that he's on the soft tyre, and it's still that early stage of the race, so they'll therefore be able to, make those moves happen and so on, and be able to use that extra grip available from the soft tyre. So they're going to have to take advantage of that as much as they possibly can. So it's 2 Honda-powered cars bookending the field at the moment, with Simon in the Red Bull and Corny in the Alpha Tauri, of course. Car 52 at the back, and it's car number 15, I believe it was. So
I think Carter-Lundy might be under a little bit of pressure here, actually, from JST. Because he was right up at the back end of the car in the last sector, the second sector, down towards Pringle. It's like, I think what may be happening here is JST has a much faster second sector than Carter-Lundy, but in the other sectors, Carter-Lundy's just managing to pull that time back away from him. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens, really.
Well, I was about to say, could that be a difference in setup, perhaps?
Yeah,
with JST set up to take those slower corners in the middle sector. Obviously, then making use of the DRS, as they're doing at the moment. But then through sectors 1 and 3, which are mostly straight, save for the Wall of Champions and the first couple of corners, really.
Oh,
that means that
Sandro's in the wall.
Galloping away. Sandro in the wall. Oh dear, oh dear. They've got the car still running at least, so they'll be able to recover that. And if there is a safety car brought out, it will allow them to get onto the back of the field. However, what they won't be getting back is that front wing, which is now in several bits all over the track.
And it also looks like Corny's managed to pull back that time absolutely brilliantly, locking up those front tyres. Not going to do his tyres any good, but I think we're going to see an overtake from Corny down this straight. I would be very surprised if we didn't. The overspeed on John TF1 is absolutely massive. 3-second time penalty for Morgan as, yep, straight past Corny, gone right past John TF1, and that could potentially be, again, a setup.
And pulling the trigger, just to interrupt you there, sorry, but Carter-Lundy has jumped into the pits. So they've elected to go on to the medium tyres this early, lap 6, where they are potentially looking for that undercut there. Now, I don't know if lap 6 is necessarily the point where the soft tyres start to drop off and would therefore give you that advantage. Sandro has retired from the session after speeding in the pit lane upon entry, so they've clearly had enough and retired in the pit lane. So on they go then in this race. Carter-Lundy at the back of the field now with 1.9 second gap to their teammate just ahead. Now, if I was a Mercedes team principal, I'd be saying to John TF1, get out of the way for your teammate. They need as much clear air as possible here to be able to make the undercut work. So whether or not they will fight with one another, that remains to be seen. Just touching on the point with Morgan Ball getting their penalty, of course, that is something we will likely see an awful lot of around Canada. It is very easy to overstep those track limits.
Overtake by Mentalism on 1 second. Sorry to interrupt. Yep, Mentalism Young just takes that position right there. Massive overspeed on 1 second. As it looks like they're very, very close to each other, actually, but they're not, in fact, and it's a great big line behind them as well. All these cars separated by not much, let's be honest.
Absolutely, yeah. So 1 second goes into the pits then. I think that the key issue for them here is going to be whether or not they come out around the same sort of spot as Carter-Lundy has blitzed ahead of them there. I mean, I think they were already ahead, but they have now extended that lead by some margin. So that is a good call from the Mercedes strategy team there to get them into the pits that bit earlier. But of course, it is going to bite them back a little bit later on with regards to tyre wear. Maybe need to do another stop, that sort of thing. Well, to be honest, I think if they don't do another stop, there's going to be a massive issue for them in the form of a puncture. But we will have to wait and see for that one. Morgan Ball also pitting on that lap as well, and PS4 BTW gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. As far as battles throughout this field are concerned, the top 3 still within DRS of one another, so it's still very competitive up at the front there. Which is a very good thing to see. A bit further down the field, Mentalism Johan nowhere near challenging JST at the moment, and also temporarily free of any harassment from Leonard as well. Leonard, of course, in the Alpine. But now they both head into the pits, so it's going to be a battle between the pit crews now. If anybody makes a massive mistake or so, then we will potentially see a jump. I'll just keep on board with the Alpine here and just wait and see as to what happens. And let's see. It looks like a slow stop from the Alpine guys, actually. Note the car's just jumped ahead, so that's just a slow animation catching up with itself there. But the order remains the same between those two drivers, and John TF1 is overtaken by Morgan Ball down the start-finish straight. Jake Finch gets 3-second multiple time penalties, and now coming out of the pits is Leonard. They go side by side with Morgan Ball down towards turns 3 and 4. It's going to be a late braking manoeuvre. No! Morgan Ball slots in back behind. Leonard maintains their position ahead of the Ferrari. Brilliant racing there between the two of them to keep it nice and clean.
I don't think it's entirely over between these two either, because they're still very, very close together, heading down into that mid-second sector. And that was we had 2 cars basically going right side by side there, 4 cars as a whole. And it looks like that Haas is around the back end. Same with the Ferrari on the back end of the Alpine. That's the thing here. It's not the most separated race because they've all obviously gone into the pits. You can actually see who's gone into the pits with each other.
Just to interrupt you, if we have a look at PS4 BTW, they have got the ARS open. They are past. They are past Jake Finch, and now we've also got the Haas having a look up the inside. Primoz, no, but the McLaren heads into the pits. So Primoz gets by, but has a compromised line, which is potentially going to leave them vulnerable to Moon here as they head down the start-finish straight. No, not on this occasion. The DRS saving the Haas on that particular occasion, as now PS4 BTW moves up to 4th place, carrying that time penalty, of course. New fastest lap of the race from Carter-Lundy. This time, 1:11.3. So clearly, a lot of pace in that car as they've been able to get themselves back up to 9th place. They're currently on the back of 8th place, Corny. And now, will they make a move in turn 3 and 4? No, they don't on this occasion. But there are plenty of opportunities to do it throughout the lap. They don't need to be going absolutely mental on this. It's just going to need to be a case of wait for the right moment, which might well be in just a couple of corners' time when they get the DRS here. So through the slow section in the start sector 2 they go. DRS open for the Mercedes driver. And then on the outside, they swoop around, and then into turns 8 and 9 they have the position over the Alpha Tauri driver.
As much as there's a lot of memes about Carter-Lundy, he is a bloody good driver, let's be honest. Sorry for the slight French there, but he is a bloody good driver. I can't deny him that. Like, no, he is very, very good. Obviously, that does come from, I believe, he karts, so that really does help with a lot of racecraft side of things. Absolutely. But JST just overtaking Vexit because Vexit has dropped into the pits.
Oh, well, this is interesting. So, this is potentially going to be the biggest indicator of how well Carter-Lundy's undercut has worked or has not, as Vexit now coming down the pit lane. But Carter-Lundy has already come by them now because of the unique way in which the pit lane feeds back into the racetrack here at Canada. Will we see those positions maintained? Yes, we will. So, that is Vexit down in 9th place. Apologies for my slight guess there. And Carter-Lundy up into 7th place, then chasing down the teammates of their rival who's just pitted, Vexit there. And that is Grund up in 6th place on 9-lap old medium tyres. And we'll have to wait and see as to whether or not there's going to be a move this lap or potentially next lap. I would imagine that if this current pace deficit between the pair of them continues, then we may well see, so they're now within DRS detection as they head across the line for that detection. Down into the Pringle they go, and now down the back straight they will go as well. So Carter-Lundy there, still about a second back, but 0.8 of a second now. Good exit out of the Pringle there, and there's a bit of a battle behind them though. Corny versus Vexit. Vexit gets that DRS open, is able to pass the AlphaTauri nice and early, but now looking back up towards Carter-Lundy. They're not quite on the back of Grund just yet, but they're getting closer and closer all the time as they head down the start-finish straight. Will there be a move into turn 1? We will wait and see. It's closer and closer and closer and closer. Will they be brave on the brakes? No, they will not on this occasion, but they are very, very close. Look at that, nose to tail. They can practically smell the gearbox and the fumes. There we go, up onto the inside as they come out there. Into turn 3 and 4 they go. Later on the brakes, turn in and got the position. Good move there from Carter.
As Corny, unfortunately, gets the 3-second time penalty for, I believe, track limits, that will be, but I mean, at the end of the day, you can see just how fast the front runners are. At the end of the day, as was mentioned in chat a bit before, people going, oh, there probably some assists. People don't realise just how fast every single tier is within PC, because the drivers just are really, really quick. That's just part of...
Absolutely. Ooh! Bit of an argy-bargy there between a few drivers. We had Leonard, Mentalism Johan, and we had one of the Williams drivers, 1 second I believe it was. They all sort of bounced across the curbs in the runoff area through turns 8 and 9 there, all getting all up in one another's faces, and I think that, 1 second has lost their front wing. They've left the session as well. Oh dear, oh dear. So, what on earth happened there? I haven't caught the back of that, really. But now, as we head down the back straight with that group of cars, Leonard has overtaken Johan, and Johan now having to defend from the Ferrari of Morgan Ball just behind him. Jake Finch, of course, just behind them. We've got a new fastest lap of the race from Vexit this time, rather than Carter-Lundy. And one thing to mention as well, Simon Perigny, former leader of this race, is now, big move into turn 1 from the Ferrari of Morgan Ball, really sending it up the inside, forcing Johan to just get onto a different line entirely. They now head up towards turns 3 and 4 rather, and Mentalism Johan maintains that position for now, but now better exit for the Ferrari. There's some heavy defending going on with the Haas, and now as they head down towards sector 2, they've still been able to maintain that position, but as they head now through onto the DRS straight, I don't think they're going to have that DRS. No, they do have the DRS, but they're going to lack that slipstream from the Alpine ahead. So will they be able to maintain this position all the way down to turns 8 and 9? Yes, they do. Brilliant stuff. Good racing from them, and then bit of overstepping the mark there from Morgan Ball means they are now vulnerable from Jake Finch behind. Jake Finch very close to the back of that Ferrari now, closer than they have been for the last few corners, and the last lap in fact. And now as they head through the Pringle, will there be a move from them down onto the back straight rather? We'll wait and see. But yes, just back to what I was saying before, Simon Perigny, former leader of this race, is currently down in 6th place after their pit stop just a couple of laps ago, with the Red Bull driver dropping way down the order. And you can see there that because of the fact they're now behind Cartalundi by about 1.5 seconds, Cartalundi, who, by the way, has been overtaken by Vexit and is now re-overtaking Vexit, maybe, no, they look up the inside, think better of it in the end and back out of the move. But it looks like the undercut from those two drivers, Vexit and Cartalundi, has worked well for them for now, but Cartalundi has 7 lap-old tyres, Vexit had 3 lap-old tyres, and Simon Perigny now has 2 lap-old tyres.
Potentially going to see a move from PS4,
sorry.
Just going to see a move from PS4 by the looks on Primož down towards this corner. It's going to be very close. These two battling furiously up in first and second. It's definitely been an interesting battle between these 3 cars, actually. Primož, PS4 and Moon. They've all got really close to each other. And it's basically just turning into a game of just Uno reverse cards every lap. It's just, nope, you take the position, now you take the position, now you take the position because of that DRS.
Absolutely, and it's very, very close between you. You could see there as they headed through the Pringle earlier on that there was a little bit of a lock-up on the front left of PS4, but they were able to get the car under control and actually tighter to the apex than what Primož was able to do. But as they head down the start-finish straight now, will Primož still have that position? There's currently no driver driving the Haas car on my screen. Never mind, no helmet. There's a massive weight reduction going on at the Haas team because they've gotten rid of the driver entirely. So it's a 1:11.0 for JSC, setting a new fastest lap of the race down in 7th place at the moment. And we keep an eye on this battle at the front here with the Haas and the Red Bull in particular very close to one another, and Moon just hanging back ever so slightly. I don't think it's that Moon has a pace deficit to these guys ahead, as Corny now sets a new fastest lap, a 1:10.8. Brilliant bit of pace from the AlphaTauri driver there. But I think that with Moon just coming back to this battle in the top 3, I think Moon is maybe just hanging back, sort of waiting to see if there's going to be any mistake from the guys ahead, or if there is an overtake made, that will naturally offset and, upset the balance on Primož's car, and therefore allow Moon that opportunity to maybe just snake one up the inside. We will have to wait and see on that one, but they are sticking with this group. Ooh, bit of oversteer from them though, and well, we'll have to wait and see as to how things are going with these guys later on in the race.
Oh, safety car.
Oh dear,
Jake Finch.
What is that for
Jake
Finch is
Finch.
out of this race. And whereabouts is the McLaren? I'm just going on board with 1 second.
Oh, there he is.
And there he is. He's gone into the wall at a very strange place. That's either on the exit of turn 4 and getting a bit too close to the exit curb, or maybe being forced into the wall.
And here goes everyone into the pits who hasn't yet pitted, using the safety car to actually get his tyres on. There wasn't many people who hadn't pitted, but now is definitely the time for that.
Hard tyre for the Haas driver of Primož, same for Moon, and for where's the other guy that was involved in that fight? PS4 has gone into soft tyres, strangely enough. Soft tyres? That's surely that's condemning themselves to a very long afternoon here. That's going to be an interesting one to deal with as things go on. But I suppose they're going to have a good 2 or 3 laps behind the safety car now, where they can just keep the tyres nice and relaxed, nice and pleasant, I guess you could say. And then after that, well, that would be lap 18 or so. Lap 18 to 35. I think that's going to be a tough ask to take those tyres halfway through the race at full racing conditions. But you never know. Stranger things have happened. If we get another safety car or a virtual safety car, that potentially could give them that free pit stop to get another set of softs on and really attack towards the end of the race. As the Aston Martin safety car currently leads the Aston Martin driver of Vexit around the Pringle at the moment. So, just to give you a full rundown of the order then as we go through the safety car period on lap 15 of 35 at the Canadian Grand Prix here in PSGL PC Division 3 or F3. We have Vexit currently leading the way on 5-lap-old medium tyres. Then Simon Perigny, the man who was on pole and only just managed to beat Vexit to that pole honours, is in 2nd place after Vexit's undercut worked fantastically well. JST then in 3rd place with Leonard in 4th, Primož in 5th, PS4 in 6th, Moon in 7th, Cartalundi with brand new medium tyres on their wagon, down in 7th after previously being around about where Simon Perigny is at the moment. Then we have Corny, then PS4 is currently in the pits at the moment, and they're going to lose a couple more positions, to Johan and then to Morgan Ball as well. So PS4 then heading down the pit lane on a new set of medium tyres, so that may well have been why we were confused. We saw them going onto the softs, and now they're back onto mediums. Much more sensible strategy, I think. Though, of course, you have to sit and wonder, why didn't they do that before? Could it be that it was because they, of course, started on the mediums and had to change to a different tyre? Or did they, in fact? Actually, they may not have done. I might be talking rubbish there. But as far as the rest of the field is concerned, then after PS4, we have then Grund, 1 second, and John TF1. 1 second, really, I would say, the driver with the best opportunity, really, to just jump in the pits. They're second last at the moment. They're on 4-lap-old soft tyres. Oh, no, actually, I say all that, but I've just remembered they left the session earlier on, didn't they? So, there we are then. Scruffy, what have you made of this race so far, then?
I think that with all the pit stops, they have, in effect, all jumped back to roughly where they were. Apart from, obviously, Primož up in 5th now. He wasn't there at the start of the race, as far as I can remember. As we get this very Vexit sort of move, who apparently is just revving it to absolute maximum in each gear he can. That's the most ear-destroying noise I've ever heard. But he has this...
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, it is pretty ear-destroying, yes, I would completely agree with you. However, there is some method to their madness, you see. Because, of course, without the rich mix available in F1 2021, it means that you can very easily build up a surplus of fuel that you do not need. So what we've started to see in F1 esports, for example, is a lot of the drivers will just, as you've seen there with Exit, just hammer the throttle as much as they can in a gear for as long as they can to try and run at high revs and try and burn off that fuel. Because, of course, heavier car, more fuel, means that you're going to be slower. And if you're already in a gear, you're not wheel spinning, you're just at the top end of the revs, then it's not going to do any damage to your tyres. So, just a little bit of insight for you and for the ladies and gentlemen.
This race tends to be, I'd hope to see what someone stops with. It has this habit of going right up behind the safety car. It just plays with your emotions constantly. Just like one small wrong move and you're in the safety car. Like, is it needed to go that close to the safety car? I don't really think so.
I wouldn't say so myself. No, that's a dodgy place to be, I think. I'm certainly not going to encourage a virtual burned Mylander to hurry up, so there's not much point. But it does give us the opportunity to see an Aston Martin and an Aston Martin safety car running very close.
It's nice,
which is it's an oddly satisfying thing to watch, I would say. But as they crack on then, safety car in this lap. Just before they get going again, I'll just give you a brief overview of the position changes, because you are right, Primož was not there at the start of this race. Primož and Moon have both jumped up 10 positions versus their starting position. The major winners out of all this, major loser is definitely 1 second, who's dropped 8 positions. And then we've also had good movements from JSC and Leonard at the top end of the field as well, jumping up 3 and 4 places respectively versus their starting position. And then, of course, Vexit up 1 place and Simon Perigny down 1. So, as they get ready to go then, we will just keep an eye on them, see when the leader's going to bolt, and it's now! Vexit goes now, and he's not been able to catch Simon Perigny napping there. Simon is right on the back of him there, only 3.5 tenths the gap between the two of them. 3-second time penalty for John TF1 for multiple warnings. They've clearly cut the final chicane there. There's no other reason why they would have gotten that penalty. So, through turn 1 they go. No dramas that I've seen so far. Just flicking through the fields here, nobody has had any major issues. Salute for them, of course. My favourite member.
Cartolindi into the wall!
Oh dear, Cartolindi into the wall, that's not what you want, and they're out of this race! Oh dear, that is not what you want to see for the Mercedes driver, who had done so well up until this point. So well. And now they are out of this race. What a shame for them. Their car is... was still briefly moving there, but it's now come to a halt. So that is the end of their race. That is a real shame
Move
for them.
from Corny, I believe.
Move from Corny. Well, there we are then. So it's all gone wrong for them, but Corny has, as you say, gotten that move done. They've gotten by Moon, and getting that traction down then, the AlphaTauri head-to-head of the Alfa Romeo, Battle of the Alphas, and the Honda-powered Alfa coming out on top on this occasion. And as they head now down into that final chicane, there is no DRS in operation just yet, of course. But I think that as they cross the line now... No, there's not. No, I lie. I'm talking absolute nonsense again. It will be enabled at the end of this lap. So still one more lap of no DRS. So if you're going to get your moves done now, it's a good time to get them done, because you know that your rivals are not going to be able to fight back quite so easily as they might do under normal racing circumstances. In terms of fighting back, though, PS4 BTW, after that pit stop fiasco, where they ended up having to pit twice under safety car there, right up the back of Morgan Ball at the moment in the Ferrari. They've had a little... just a little glance up the inside there, but no move coming from it. Then got just up the road, you've got Mentalism Johan and Moon, of course, all still tightly packed together. Those cars all just trying to get to the end of the race now, and of course Primož and Moon at the disadvantage of being on the hard tyre currently, whereas everybody else on the mediums, I would say, can probably get to the end of this race from this point on.
Absolutely, and I think with these drivers, going for the mediums is probably the smartest choice, because it's the sort of best of both worlds in that sense.
Absolutely,
I would say, at least.
Yeah. I would completely agree with you, especially around Canada, as now we've just got potentially a move on with the Ferrari of Morgan Ball. No, they are sticking behind the Haas for now. They were getting very close, though, just 1/10 of a second separating the pair of them. DRS is now enabled as Vexit comes across the line and starts the third lap after the safety car period. And so that means then we are back to normal racing conditions now, with some very, very tight racing going on between 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th at the moment. You can count Grund in that as well. They are just on the fringe of that battle in 11th, just outside of the point. So as we crack on there, and there's a bit of a blocker jump here, and then up the inside goes Mentalism Johan at the start of Sector 2. Brilliant move there. Moon just getting a bad exit through turns 3 and 4, and now they're under threat again. Morgan Ball goes by. The Ferrari goes past the Red Bull, and they're now going to have to try and fight back that position. Goes past the Alfa Romeo, I should say, because the Red Bull of PS4 BTW also goes by Moon. What a horrible set of corners for them. They've lost 3 positions in probably as many corners.
Which is not ideal, but that's the point. It's a sign of a good driver. Basically, get your positions back again. I mean, you've got the DRS. They've got the ability to do so.
Up the front. Vexit is alongside with Simon Perry. Simon with the DRS. He goes by into the final chicane. He'll get that double dip of DRS. Of course, there's no second detection zone, so down the start-finish straight he goes with that rear wing open, and that's going to help him defend from Vexit there. A good bit of racing there from those two guys, and we almost missed it. Oh, crikey. Anyway, back to what you were saying there, Scruffy.
No, I was pretty much done at the point where you cut across there, because obviously for good reason. I mean, at the end of the day, I only just managed to cut straight onto that, just as he made the move. Stick, basically.
There we are then. So, fairly simple looking DRS pass from them then, and they're now trying to flex their racing muscles, just trying to get that gap built up. But of course, we've now got this second DRS zone here. So we've had the first, and now it's the second. So, rear wing open for Vexit then, and for JST just behind, who's obviously still a threat to these guys up at the front, it's fair to say. And Simon now just trying to get that gap built up to try and get out of the DRS zone. Of course, throughout that whole first stint, Vexit was on them the whole time, with the help of that DRS. So if they're able to stick with them, you never know, there might be that opportunity just to get by the Red Bull driver in an area of the circuit like this one here, but I doubt it on this occasion. It might well be a move. We see one down the start-finish straight, possibly down into the final chicane they go then. Late braking from both of them. They've carried the speed well. It's about 4/10 the gap now, 5/10 between the pair of them. Half a second or so, and that's not come down all too much. It's about 3.5 now as they head into the braking zone of turn 1. So, for the moment, Simon Perigny has this. Further back down the field, we've got the Ferrari of Morgan Ball now having a look up the inside of Primož, who's trying to defend as much as they possibly can. They're running the Ferrari all the way out onto the exit curve at the exit of turn 2, and now as they go side by side into turn 3, contact between the pair of them and the Ferrari, much like Sebastian Vettel in 2019, jumps across the grass. They're able to maintain the pursuit, but now they're under threat from a Red Bull and a Haas behind them, having previously been challenging the Haas of Primož. Yes, it was a Primož actually.
It was Primož.
And now Mentalism Johan has jumped all of them.
We're potentially... Oh, there's a car inside a car. That's never good.
Inside a car there from, I think that's Leonard, having left the session earlier on. Their car just continuing to trundle around at the back of the field and being lapped, of course, so they get ghosted, as they should, of course. So, as they head round now, Morgan Bull's still very much under threat at the moment from PS4 BTW and from Moon just behind them. Although it's mainly the threat actually just coming from PS4 BTW. Both the Ferrari and the Red Bull have the DRS open now, trying to climb onto the back of Mentalism Johan, who hopefully, if they get side by side, will give them a little bit in the more of way of space than their teammate did to the Ferrari driver. But now, 3-second time penalty for Morgan Bull, as in that hot pursuit of the Haas, they've jumped across the curbs of the apex curbs, I should say, of the final chicane. So they've got themselves a time penalty because of that. Just to give you an update on those penalties, in fact, there's 3 seconds for all the drivers except for Mentalism Johan and Morgan Bull, who have 6 seconds, 9 seconds for Grund, Primož has 6, and so does John T. F1. So, apart from them, 3 seconds for everybody else. So, in terms of the tyres as well, just remembering, of course, that Moon is now the only driver in the field on the hard tyre. John T. F1 has gone on to soft tyres, and Primož has gone on to mediums. Maybe as a result of that contact, there was some damage that necessitated a pit stop for that Haas driver. PS4 BTW now picks up a time penalty themselves, so that puts them up just like Morgan Ball and Mentalism Johan ahead of them. So not a great set of circumstances for them in their pursuit of getting higher up the table at the end of this race. Of course, if they kept their nose clean, they would have been able to have that 3-second advantage over those cars ahead who are not more than 3 seconds away from them.
And potentially a move by Grundon Moon, and he makes that one stick. As you're saying about keeping clean within the race, it's when that incident happened between Carter and the other driver, it was a case of I'm not sure who was at fault on it, because at the end of the day, it's always that weird thing with chicane, because if you're down fully alongside the driver, then it sort of becomes a case of who has the bigger whatevers. It's not the easiest of situations to back out of or stay in.
The bigger basketballs.
Basically, yes. It looks like they've added some new camera angles to F1 as well, because I've never seen this. They've updated it, to stick with the modern F1. And it looks like this rear camera wasn't there before. And they've also seemed to have added that front left on the wing camera, which I've never seen in the auto system before. But that's an interesting one to see. I was looking at it and went, hang on, that's a new camera.
It certainly is. I don't know if this has happened with your timing table, but I can't see any gaps
Yep,
between
correct.
drivers except for 1 second's AI car, of course. So we'll
Happened
just
to
wait
me
for them
too.
to come across the line now. Simon Perigny is coming through the final couple of corners, and now Vexit right on the back of them. Right on the back as they head down start finish straight. They pull to the outside.
What a
which
move.
will then, of course, turn to the inside in turn 2, but they swing around the outside in turn number 1, and then that's a brilliant move completed there. Good bit of racing there from Vexit, and getting back ahead of Simon Perigny in the Red Bull. They're now going to have to defend for the rest of this lap and for another 10 laps indeed. So it's definitely not over yet for the Aston Martin driver, but it's good racing up at the front between these guys, and our interval gaps are coming back, which is obviously good to see. Mentalism Johan with another 3-second time penalty, so 9 seconds now for them.
Yes, exactly. And thank you for the quick hint. I believe that was towards myself, Matthew, in the chat. Thank you. Hopefully that's fixed my audio a little bit in terms of mic level. It's always difficult to level your mic when you can't hear it. So
I'm gonna need to pop you back to 100%.
Yes.
Because now you're very loud. But there we are. So as we watch everybody continuing to circulate, then we've got all sorts of action going on up and down the field. We've got obviously this battle at the front here, where I don't think there's going to be a move on the back straight, but there could be one down the start-finish straight here. It's a very similar gap to what it was last lap when Vexit was chasing rather than being the chased. As they head now down towards turn number 1, they actually maintain that position. They've taken the quickest line to the corner, and not necessarily the best line in terms of optimizing your racing line, but it's certainly the quickest in terms of the shortest distance, I think, is probably the best way of phrasing that. So given not much in the way of opportunity for Simon to get a move done there, but you never know. Could there be one maybe made here into the start of Sector 2? No, not on this occasion. Not on this occasion at all. Further down the field, we've got PS4 BTW fighting with Morgan Ball at the moment. The Ferrari and the Red Bull seemingly glued to one another after that safety car period. And things very close between them, just 0.2 of a second separating those two cars. So it's all very close up and down the field at the moment. But there are some gaps starting to form. Primoz 18 seconds back from Moon, who is about 1.5 seconds back from Grooms, who's about 2.5 seconds back from this battle between PS4 and Morgan Ball. So there are some gaps starting to form between the drivers, but where there are close battles, they're very close indeed. We've also got Vexit has now been re-overtaken by Simon Perigny, and that's down the back straight. So that's going to give Simon that DRS down the start-finish straight. That's going to give them that benefit of the DRS all the way down into turn 1 they go, and that's going to give no opportunity for Vexit to fight back on this occasion. Throughout all of this battling between the top two, that's allowed, as you can see at the back of the Aston Martin now, JST to get right up into this fight as well, and that potentially means that Vexit will have to look in both directions, both in attack and defence now, as far as they're concerned, whereas Simon just has to look away.
As we jump back towards PS4 BTW, because that's the next sort of bunched up group on the circuit. These guys driving really, really hard and fast. There has been a yellow flag with... that's Primoz.
And they have gone out of this race. They seem to have retired in the pit lane, though, so no obstruction on circuit, which is good. But yeah, there we are then. So 1 second's AI gets bumped up to 11th place as a result of that retirement. And and Leonard is also long gone from this session, 59 seconds back from that's either from the DNF'd Primoz or from 1 second, I'm not entirely sure. But now, up at the front, we've got this battle resuming between the top two. We've got Vexit right on the back then, just a 0.3 of a second gap between him and Simon Perigny. And now as they head down towards turn one, it actually looks like Simon may well defend this one. And into turn one they go, and yes, the Red Bull stays ahead on this occasion, with the Aston Martin and the Alpha Tauri just salivating at the opportunity to maybe make an attack in a couple of corners or even a lap's time. So lap 28 then of 35, so we've still got a number to go. And if they keep swapping positions, if they keep swapping positions lap after lap, then we may end up seeing, it might just end up coming down to whose mental arithmetic is the best. If I pass you on this lap, and then you pass me on that lap, and then who's going to come across the line first? So we shall wait and see as to how this shapes out, of course. Back down the field then with Morgan Bull and PS4 BTW. That fight is still very much going on, and going on in a big way, with PS4 right up the back then of the Ferrari. Just 3.5 tenths, no, now 2.5 tenths separating the pair of them. And as they head now down into the Pringle, there's a bit of a late move, and there's contact between the pair of them there. There's no major damage that I can see, but it might be that on PS4's car they might have damage to the front left part of their front wing there. As into the Pringle they went. I think they just didn't anticipate the closing speed between themselves and Morgan Bull, and so when they tried to pull out to create a bit of a gap and not go into the back of them, they just made that move a bit too late. And it looks like they may well have... Oh, there's a 3-second time penalty for them again. So that is just going to add to their woes as Morgan Bull now closing in on the back of Corny, up in 5th place, and Mentalism Johan just ahead of them. So could it be that the Ferrari now, by driving cleanly, could end up getting themselves further up the order? I'll just check the penalty situation. Well, they certainly won't be getting by Corny. Corny has 3 seconds versus Morgan Bull's 6, but Mentalism Johan has 9 seconds worth of penalties. So keep an eye on those guys as the race progresses, of course. In terms of this battle then, it's also the closest one on circuit. We've got Vexit still about half a second away from Simon Perigny up at the front. And then we've got this gap, as I say, of about 2.5 tenths between PS4, BTW and Morgan Bull. And then Morgan Bull is only about 3.5 tenths back from Corny in the Alpha Tauri. So just keeping an eye on this fight then. What do you think of the situation as it is? They're all on relatively similarly aged tyres at this point, except Corny, who's on 3 lap older tyres than Johan and Morgan either side of them. What do you reckon here? What's going to happen, Scruffy?
I think it completely depends. I mean, Vexit's currently on the oldest tyres on the circuit, regardless of compound. And it's one of those, it depends on the driver's skill completely. I mean, those laps I've seen them go for 20, 30 laps. So it completely depends on how well all of these drivers actually handle those tyres at this age. Those tyres can last for ages. I don't think anyone's going to need to come in and pit, apart from maybe... I mean, even John TF1 on the softs probably won't need to pit. Same with Moon, who I believe has just switched onto the softs, which is an interesting strategy. That might work out. But I think, yeah, at the back, with Leonard, he's just rolling around with this lovely Desyncs car. I believe it's Desynced, isn't it, Leonard?
I think they just left the session earlier on. They haven't rejoined since.
Oh, not Desync, sorry. Yeah, he joined and hasn't. Yeah, and now you just see an AI overtaking an actual driver.
Well, you know, it's these things happen. Well, there we go. Unlapping themselves, possibly being the better way of terming it. But yes, absolutely. So John TF1 fighting the ghost of Leonard Past. Oh wait, I'm not allowed to make that joke, am I? It's not been Halloween yet, so you're not allowed to make Christmas joke. Anyway, on we go then, and we've got this fight continuing to boil beneath the surface between Morgan Bull, Corny, and Mentalism Johan, with PS4 just hanging around in the background. But I think that there may well have been damage caused by that incident into the Pringle earlier on, because of course, they were previously running around a good 2.5 tenths off the back of Morgan Bull. They're now struggling around the sort of half second. So clearly still a lot of pace in the car, but maybe not as much as previously. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3 at the moment. I'm not entirely certain what that's for, because looking at the track map, everybody seems to be moving along rather fine. It may have been Moon, actually. They now have a 31-second gap to the car ahead of them. Oh no, that's because they're in the pits. Silly me. I'm talking nonsense again. Ignore me. As the battle between 4th, 5th and 6th and 7th, in fact, heads down towards the Pringle. Let's keep an eye then, see if anybody is brave and late on the brakes to just close up some of those times. It looks like Mentalism Johan has had a bit of a poorer exit through that section there, so it might lean them an opportunity to just, get back up the order. and lend the opportunity for the guys behind them to get back up the order. And certainly Corny looks very, very keen to do that. They're now just 2.5 tenths back from Mentalism Young. Not had a brilliant exit through that final chicane there, but now using the DRS, they're closing. Down towards turn 1 they go. Will there be a late move? No, not on this occasion. They're very, very sensible in this league, as you've been able to see throughout the majority of this race. So they keep their positions for now. No late break Daniel Ricciardo style dive bomb maneuvers. As pointed out in chat as well, 1 second has also left the session, but the car has not retired.
And it looks like we might have had a bit of a mistake from Vegza because he's dropped right back from Perony, which is uncharacteristic from the rest of this race.
Yes, indeed.
It's John's first race on a wheel. That's an interesting fact to know. John TF1's first race on a wheel in PSGL, which is always nice to hear drivers switching to wheels.
Absolutely, yes. It is. There is something satisfying about driving on a wheel and driving well as well. It took me an awful long time to even get to that stage, to be honest. But in terms of this battle up at the front, then, I have a sneaking suspicion that there may be a bit of ERS messing about here going on between these drivers, because Vexit, as you say, dropped back a decent chunk from Simon Perigny, but Simon has much less in the way of ERS available to them. There's a bit of a fight going on between them there. Morgan Ball very close now to the back of... and there they go. They get by Mentalism Yo, and Corny has also gotten by the Haas driver as well. Brilliant bit of racing from them down into turn 1 to just swing around the outside of the Haas, and now that puts Johan under pressure from PS4 BTW, who is very, very close to the back of that Haas car in their Red Bull, with much younger tyres as well. No, I lie. Similarly aged tyres. It's Corny who has the much older tyres, and they're now at the mercy of Morgan Ball just behind them, with, of course, no cars for Corny to now be able to make use of the DRS on. So, as they head down now through the Sector 2 DRS zone, the rear flaps all open up on all those cars except for Corny's AlphaTauri, and that's just allowing these guys to just close in all the more, getting closer and closer as they head down now towards what we have affectionately named the Pringle, the final hairpin before you head onto the back straight here. So late on the brakes, all of them. It looks like perhaps Johan even later on the brakes, but then suffering on exit as a result. So we've got two fights to watch here then, and Vexit has gotten by Simon Perigny, and that's a new fastest lap from Moon as well, interestingly enough, and Vexit has been able to do what Simon did to them a number of laps ago, and that's get the move completed before the start-finish straight. So that's going to give them that DRS to defend all the way down to turn 1, and there we go. Easy move from them.
It's going to be close.
It's going to be very close, isn't it? Very good racing between all these guys. But then we've also got Morgan Ball now closing in on the back of Corny. It's now just about 0.2 of a second between them, 3.5 tenths now, as they go through that slower section of the track where the dirty air really plays a factor. We've got time penalties coming in all over the shop, and well, that's too many for me to keep a hold of. Leonard, weirdly enough, has a time penalty given that the car has not got a driver in it, and that's not from a visual glitch point of view. That's because the driver disconnected from the session. So we've got Morgan Ball then very close to the back of Corny now, just 2.5 tenths separating the pair of them as they head down the back DRS straight, not the back DRS straight, sorry, the Sector 2 DRS straight, as they head through turns 8 and 9. There's maybe a little bit of time lost from the Ferrari driver, but then on exit, they've been able to gain some of that time back. They're coming down now towards the Pringle. It's now 0.3 of a second from them to the AlphaTauri just ahead, and now as they head round that long corner, they're going to head down onto the back straight now, and this is going to be the ultimate test. Will Morgan Ball be able to get that Ferrari by the AlphaTauri here?
Brilliant block
up the inside they go, and that move is completed before they even get to the final chicane. Brilliant bit of racing from Morgan Ball there.
Sorry to cut across you there, but that was a fantastic move by Vexit to block him off, but they're currently side by side into the first corner.
Very close.
Side by side.
Oh, side by side, as you say,
Still
and then
it's
going to be a drag race down to turn 3 and 4. They're absolutely side by side, neck and neck, but with the inside, Simon Perigny gets the lead back. Brilliant racing up at the front of the field. Good stuff there from Vexit and Simon Perigny to keep that clean, and very, very close, as you say, through turns 1 and 2 there. Brilliant racing from the protagonists of this race, with JST the whole time just looking in, just thinking, oh, please, please, please have an incident, let me take advantage of it. I really want this race win. A podium would be lovely, but the race win would be great.
I think the point is as well, is it's just Vexit has to hold this out right towards the last lap, as this is I believe, the final lap. So we're coming round into the end of the sector, round the Pringle. Perigny's in the lead, but I don't know if he can hold it, because Vexit's going to get that DRS down the back, and that's what you were saying about the maps.
DRS and that little bit more of overtake as well. Just ever so slightly more. And now moving to the inside. Simon Perigny's going to try and defend. Is it going to be tears in the final corner? They go side by side on the final corner, and that means JSC.
Oh my goodness, he might lose second.
JSC all the way up to the line.
He's lost.
Oh, and across the line they go. It's the absolute closest finish. It's a dead heat finish. There's no interval between the pair of them on the screen. And that is a brilliant way to end this race. Good defense from Simon Perringy in the final corner. He gave the space as much as he could. It's a really one-line corner there, but brilliant racing between them there. And Vexit, very, very lucky indeed to hold on to that one. That was one of the closest finishes you will ever see to a race, virtual or otherwise. Brilliant stuff.
Absolutely mad. Like it was played exceptionally well, but if anything had gone entirely wrong, I mean, it was just the driving round the last corner there. Simon Perriney holding his line absolutely perfectly. And if he'd even been a slight bit to the right, that could have given the gap for Vexit to go down the inside, which he nearly did.
He nearly did indeed. Yeah, that's... crikey, that's got my heart rate up. That's brilliant. I don't need to go to the gym today.
I want to see the actual interval.
That's done all the heart beating I need.
Yeah, I want to see that actual interval because we are about to get a look at that interval because I don't think it's going to be much more. I mean, I would say for the battles, actually, that's a deserved driver of the day from the game.
Absolutely,
to
yes.
Morgan Bull. But here we go. We're going to see that interval after just a slight bit of podium. And we're going to skip straight through into to see just how small that gap was because it was nothing. And Vexit, I mean, it's the 3-second penalty, but at the end of the day, that is what? Because he had that penalty, he was faster than him. Just.
Oh, crikey,
but
jinx. So the gap between the pair of them then, as you say, that was, so I'm just waiting for it to change on my screen. Yeah, so beaten him by 0.2 on the road. 1.5 tenths on the road, I should say, but then that 3-second time penalty just biting JST at the end there and relegating them to 3rd position. Oh, brilliant. Good stuff there. Fantastic racing from the top end of this field, especially from JST as well. I mean, coming from 6th up to the podium. It's a great, great effort. Morgan Bull, you've got a feel for as well because they had to stop twice in the course of that race. And have been able to still make a very good effort of it from 10th up to 4th there. Certainly, I would say, deserving of Driver of the Day as the game has given it to them. We've then got some other stand-up performers in the form of Mentalism Johan going from 7th to 6th after a very chaotic race with all sorts going on. PS4 BTW going from 11th up to 7th. And then Grund from the Aston Martin is 12th up to 8th there. So that is your full race order then. Fastest lap goes to Moon on that occasion with a 109.7 after their blitz on the soft tyres towards the end of that race. And, well, that has been a very, very good and welcome return to league racing, I think it's fair to say. After we had all the issues, pre our break in PSGL, we've then had a race there with, I think it's fair to say, no glitches whatsoever, really.
Absolutely, and it is a testament to how they've actually managed to fix the game. I mean, yes, people got annoyed, and myself included, actually. Got annoyed at how they weren't fixing the game, but they have genuinely, evidently, been working on it. So
yes.
The thing is, people forget how long it takes to dev stuff. It's not an overnight job. They can't fix an entire desync issue because I'm presuming it was between the servers and peer-to-peer, and it's very, very complicated.
Absolutely.
But aside from that, fantastic racing, fantastic return after that break, and I just want to see more of that next week. So I think that's a good way to end here.
I have to agree with you. I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant return to league racing here in PSGL. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We have F2 on either now or later this evening. Can you confirm that one for me?
I'm not entirely sure on that one.
You're not entirely sure. In that case, then, we keep an eye on your social media feeds for PSGL. They will be able to offer you all the information that is necessary to give you the best racing viewing experience this week. And, of course, we've got F1 tomorrow on this channel as well. So I have been Daniel Gilligan. It has been a pleasure and a delight to come back to league racing and commentating with all of you folks watching at home. I've been joined by the absolutely wonderful Scruffy, who not only has been commentating, but modestly has not mentioned he's been doing all of the behind-the-scenes technical stuff as well to get this stream brought to you.
You can probably tell because of the amount of camera flick-arounds. But yes, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much as well to Dan, and we will see you next time.
We certainly shall.
Yes.
See you then, folks. Bye-bye.